Hello everyone and welcome to the stream. This is Otaku Showboat. Today is Tuesday, November 12th, 2019. If you're watching the VOD on YouTube, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. As well as head on over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/otakushowboat to leave a follow to be notified when I go live Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to approximately 1 p.m. US Eastern Time. You can follow me on Twitter at Otaku Showboat, visit my website at otakushowboat.com, become a patron on Patreon at patreon.com/Otaku Showboat, as well as join my growing Discord server. The links for all of those things are in the description below this video. If you are watching live on Twitch, you can do !Discord for the link to that as well. And you can also help support Pyanodon's mods development at patreon.com/Pyanodon. So, as per usual, I am reminding folks that next week is going to be Pokemon Week, Pokemon Sun/Moon, not Sun/Moon. Oh my God, I'm a whole generation behind. Sword and Shield next week. You can join my Discord server for a poll, actually 2 polls, in the general gaming discussion area that allows you to vote for which version to play as well as which starter to use. There's not really any votes on it right now, I think. At least not on the version. Last I checked, yeah, there's still no votes for which version to play, and as of right now, there is 1 whole vote for grass type. So, at this point, all I can really say is we be going grass, I suppose. Yeah, that's a thing. So next week, this of course will definitely be preempting all of the streams, unless of course someone somehow manages to provide me a few funds, provides some funds, so that I can stream extra time next week. Basically, hello, Callie. Welcome to the stream. I'm just talking about how next week with Pokemon Sword and Shield, we are going to be playing that instead of the usual Factorio and Morrowind streams going forward. And then we'll return after I beat whatever version I end up playing back to the regular schedule. Of course, I also will not stream on Thanksgiving Day, which is Thursday, the 28th of November. So that's a thing. I can join the Discord to vote on which version to play as well as which starter to use. And if I manage to accrue about $100 through the various different means of support before Sunday or on Sunday, just about $100 should do it. That'll cover extra costs, so I could instead stream my usual time with the usual stuff and then stream additional time for the Pokemon playthroughs. So if that happens, which I don't really think it will, that'll be the case. And if not, we just preempt. So either way, we're going to be getting Pokemon Sword or Shield next week, and depending on the amount of support, we can also get the usual content as well. This is simply just a matter of finances. I need to earn money, and if I stream more, I can't earn money. I can't do the work that gives me money. So, yeah, it's just simple finances at that point. Anyway, the Pyanodons, let's talk about Pyanodons. The tutorial that will go live today is going to be what to do at Blue Science. This is just more of a, like, what's ahead of us type of a video. There's no written guide to go with it at all. It's just a video where I just talk about what things you can now do at Blue Science, as well as what the road ahead is going to look like for the tutorials. Speaking of which, the following tutorial that I will be recording tomorrow is going to be Vanadium. Oh joy, oh bliss! It'll be Vanadium into Super Steel, so that's going to be a thing. That'll be followed by aerogel, and then, um, well, aerogel into special small parts, and then diamonds. So vanadium, aerogels for special small parts, and diamonds, because you need special small parts for diamond mines for the mining. So that's the tutorials going forward. After that, it's actually purple science. Uh, it's like, yeah, let's have just like 4 videos in between blue science and purple, because really, once you have blue science, if you particle accelerate the diamonds, you can just immediately make purple science. So yeah, it's significantly. I hesitate to say easier, but there's not as much stuff that needs to be set up, and the primary thing that you need is diamonds before you can go into purple. So all of that is coming up in terms of the tutorials. And then one other thing to note in terms of the Pyanodon's mods themselves, the new mark levels on the Pi High Tech buildings have now been fixed so that we can use glorious, beautiful, beautiful productivity modules in all of those buildings again. So let's switch on over. Yeah, you're not too late. You are not too late. I have just started like 8 minutes ago. Yeah, so you have made the stream today. So, let's see. I did a few things off stream between last time and today. Just a few things, mostly involved with my new design of my grid layout. So I made a new like layout for my grid, so I have a bigger gap, like slash I have a gap now between my grid squares of about 15 tiles. 15 aluminium tiles wide on all sides of each square. So I've made a blueprint now that actually has those aluminium tiles on it. I finally figured out how to actually do that. So if we look here, this layout here, this layout of grid squares, this is my new standard unit. This is my new standard unit. It has a 15 tile wide gap between the big electric poles. And we've got 4 single squares in a single, what I call it a 2x2 standard unit here. And then, now, because this is like abutting the normal part of the base, this part is not 15 wide, but everything else going up will be, and we are actually currently, the bots are building 2 of these all the way out. So there's going to be basically this right here, these 2 side by side, just now over here, and then all the way up to here. So we're going to have quite a few more squares going forward. And I have a few blueprints that I'm going to use for them. A few blueprints that I'm going to use for them. In particular, I have blueprints now for aromatics. I have this for aromatics. I have, let's see, this for coal gas and syngas. This is like 400-ish each of coal gas and syngas per second. And that fits in one of those 2x2 standard units. I'm like working on a chromite sand as well for this. I've got just a coal gas, I think, version of this. Yes, this is the just coal gas. It's like around 500 coal gas-ish. There's also stuff for like drilling fluid and all this other good stuff that's available. Rich dust one, yeah. There's lots of new things in here. that I will be making at least some use of. I'm actually trying to give this a think. Where is the one that I used? Oh yeah, I have a guargum one as well. Yeah, I made this one last night, the 1.6 guargum in the new layout. Because I have these things for the old layout. I just needed to adapt them to the new layout and to my new techs as well. Not currently depending upon the beacons quite yet, because I just don't have the output of modules right now. I don't have the circuits for enough modules to actually really do beaconing right now. So I'm just designing layouts that don't rely on modules. But that's just for now. What happened to... I could have sworn I added... Alright, it's here. This one, DF1. This is the one that I'm interested in. So this is 250 units per second of drilling fluid 1. 300 units per second of drilling fluid 1. It needs 2 of those guargums to feed it, as well as like the coal gas syngas, or just a coal gas to feed it. 2 of these, I think, something like that. Really, the top left quadrant of this could be used for anything. It's just got some borax and iron ground boring in there right now, but the top right quadrant, this quadrant here, is the copper. So these are for copper ground boring. We've got the lubricant from crude oil into heavy oil, and we're getting the crude oil through aromatics and syngas. So I need to have like an aromatics and a coal gas syngas for this as well to feed into this. So that's thus why I have those new layouts for aromatics, coal gas syngas, etc. Is to feed this thing. And the idea behind this thing was this is enough drilling fluid to feed a line of iron and borax, and it's an extra 50 on top of that per second of the drilling fluid. 2 of the guargum things is enough to feed this. It's 3 per second that this needs on the guar. It's a lot of sand. It's a lot of sand. It's like 50 per second of sand. Yeah, 50 per second of sand to feed into this. And then it's like all 15 per second on the copper ore in. So 15 copper ore in, 50 sand, and lots of water. Lots of water. Like 3 pumps, basically, worth of water. And that's drilling fluid 1. Like, that's all you really need for the drilling fluid 1. Fluid 1 is, again, I hesitate to say easy, but because the hardest part is the copper ore that you also need drill heads for. That's what's not in here, is drill heads to feed this copper. Hint, this whole blueprint here is meant to give me the iron and steel, and then added to a rich dust chromium processing would be the 4 drill heads. Like, this blueprint here was supposed to be part of a bigger self-perpetuating drill head setup. Something that's not subject to positive feedback loops like we have been experiencing lately. Now, I will note that we have a little bit of trouble right now. We're having a little bit of trouble. I need some more power. I need a little bit more power. Just a little bit more power. I honestly don't know exactly why we're not producing more power. Because I could have sworn that I was able to produce like 8 gigawatts somewhere around there, but apparently not. Apparently not. Um, Also, other changes to the base between last time and today. The Nexalit is technically working faster if I had the Borax. I need more Borax. That's what we're going to be doing today. Like, I've gone to my Borax processing, which is... Where is it again? Where's Borax? Borax. Wherefore art thou? Borax, here. I've gone here, and I've made it like there's no red lights here on bottleneck. This is all operating fully, and even this many washers giving me borax is not enough. Like, this is not enough. Like, I can't believe it. It's just not enough. Not enough input or slash output of borax. So I need even more than what I'm able to produce even from this. Now, granted, I have a little bit of an excess of drilling fluid 1. Just ignore all of this. Only half of this is actually able to move at any one time. But from all of these mixers, because these used to be Mark 1 mixers, they're now Mark 2, which means only half of them actually are needed, so I can just delete this other section on the left if I really wanted to. Just from the sand limitations, that's the main thing with these. It's limited mostly by sand. But I do have an excess of the drilling fluid 1 already. So I am planning on using this and getting more borax. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to do it in my new blocks. My new blocks setup. Set up the new borax in the new blocks and like place down my new blueprint for the coal gas syngas so I can get the syngas to feed into the borax. Oddly enough, I actually do now have enough drill heads, because I was limited on the drill heads previously. I now have enough of those. My limiting factors are no longer the drill heads, and because I added additional particle acceleration for silver as well, if I can find, I added more particle acceleration for silver. I now have sufficient silver for my ethylene glycol for the drilling fluid 2. So now I've got more sufficient amounts of drilling fluid 2. Whew, all of that of note here, and you can see we're now moving all the way down here on this chromium as well. What else? What else? Speaking of chromium, I now have this setup up here. This is chromite sand chromium. This is basically chromium being made quite literally out of sand. Like, quite literally out of sand. So I've got sand being made here. This is 30 per second of sand being made. It goes up, it gets classified into rich dust and gravel. The gravel, if I can remember what happens to my gravel gets crushed into even more sand. So the gravel feeds back into sand. The process here, separating this rich dust into chromite sand, produces iron oxide. The iron oxide is being converted into iron plates, which gets converted into sticks, which gets converted into more rich dust. You could make it into more sand and do the sand again, but I'm just converting this into more of the rich dust. And then all of that rich dust goes back into here for, yes, it's a geometric series that gets that is present here. You get more iron oxide, producing more rich dust fractionally over time. So it's not unlimited. You have to bring, well, you don't have to bring any extra iron in here, but if you were doing the rich dust purely by iron, you would need iron in, but here we've got sand coming in. So lots of rich dust that gets converted into chromite sand that then is being reduced because we can officially make our derps, our direct reduction plants, our beautiful derps. So we can actually reduce this chromite sand to make more efficient use of it by adding in light oil, which I'm also totally making light oil here out of tar. Tar into tall and light, and tall into more light. Although I do have, I think I brought extra light oil in. Yeah, I brought extra light oil in for this to keep this fully fed. And yeah, it makes molten in the end. I'm using it to make some molten, and this molten goes to nichrome. This molten goes all the way to nichrome. So we're now less bottlenecked on chromium for the nichrome because of that. Yay. It's glorious and wonderful. And of course I did the aromatics here to help feed all of the things, because I noticed I was a little bit limited on stuffs. Now, gasoline. The other thing to make note of. I now have a mega uranium mine. Woohoo! Mega uranium mine. It requires gasoline. And you can see as it gets trickles of gasoline, it will actually give me uranium ore. 12 per second of the uranium ore comes out of this. It will last a very long time. This particular node is 17 mil. You know, just 17 mil base production speed of 10 per second. Yeah, it's gonna last, yeah, about as long as we've been playing. So we can double the time that we're playing, and this will still be here unless I add speed to it through beacons, which I might need to at some point. Who knows? I may do that, but yeah, so the gasoline is being limited by Nexalit, and my Nexalit is, like, being limited by, at the moment, Borax. So you can see how all of this is, like, all tying together now. So it's like, oh, we started off by discussing these new other ways of getting, like, the Borax. It's like, I need to do Borax today. This is why I need the Borax, is because I need more Nexalit to feed the gasoline, to feed the stupid consumption of the uranium mine. Why do I need that much uranium ore? Well, because we're soon going to be doing the actual uranium processing. Why did... Huh? Huh? What? Oh, also, you may notice, these used to be big assembling machines. They are no longer big assembling machines. It looks like I missed a spot over here. So I'm still not technically done converting all of these. But yeah, all of this was the huge machines, and they don't need to be the huge machines for a mall. This is just my mall, so I don't need to worry about that exactly. And I can do some rearranging, compress some of the stuff, but it can be a real pain in the rear end if I wanted to truly compress everything. Why are you not? Why are you not? Why are you not? Oh, super steel. Yeah. Super steel. Super steel is being limited by vanadium at the moment, and vanadium, I think, is being limited by nichrome. No, it is not being limited by nichrome. What is it being limited by? La dee 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 da. What is limiting you? There's no. Probably G110? Is it G1? No, it's not G110. It's not phytoplankton. You're moving. Or is it just that's how fast it moves? It's probably one of those cases where it's just that's how fast it moves. With just the one Ziffo pool. Yeah, I think this actually just may be that's just how fast it moves. It is just slow. And it's all getting used in things. Yes, I said things. Yeah, because this has basically everything it needs. Again, electricity, hi. It's nighttime, therefore we don't have enough. Alright, sure. This means that I'm using... I've got all, like, 6 of these things that I had designed. They aren't actually working all that well. They don't really work. They don't seem to be able to produce enough power to last through the night, even with all of the efficiency modules, so... that is slightly problematic. Yeah, even with, like, packing in as many solar panels as I possibly could, these just don't work, so I think I'm just gonna have to demolish these, use these squares for something else, and just produce power by, greatly expanding these setups. Regardless, I need at least one more. Who's the one? You're the one with the, Combustion Tower Mark IIIs. That's the other thing I can do, technically, is I can replace these Mark II lines with Mark IIIs to get extra power without having to grow anything. The issue there is I only have, like, 2 Mark III combustion turbines. Yeah, I only have 2 Mark III combustion turbines at the moment. They're being made all the way over here. Oh yeah, I have lamps. I have lamps now. Lots of lamps. This is being made... Wherefore art thou being made? Here. Right here. 2 of them. It's being limited by circuit board 3s. I'm gonna sneeze. Maybe. Maybe? I think I'm good. Now, last time, I am gonna sneeze. Come on, hurry it up. Are you gonna sneeze or not? I guess not. So last time we met, what did we actually do while we met last time? Well, I'm trying to actually remember. We got through non-zero amounts of some things. Non-zero amounts of some, like, rare earth magnets, if I'm not completely mistaken. I'm pretty sure that we did rare earth magnets last time, right in here. So, hello, rare earth magnets. We have all of them on the planet. That's what we did. Just got rare earth magnets. And this was all working towards getting superconductors. If I am not mistaken, which I don't think I am mistaken there, on that particular point, we have superconductors that we're working towards. Also, off-screen got up to well, finished the Mark 1 fusion energy, now working slowly on the Mark 2. Remember that I need the Mark 3 to get the silver foam, which is going to be required to make biopolymer. I otherwise have everything I need ready to go to start making the silver foam and then make the actual biopolymer. And once we have biopolymer, we have a ton of Mark III items at that point. That is the last ingredient needed for a lot of the Mark III stuff. And it's a very key item that is pretty much required for Mark III stuff. I'm probably going to have a tutorial devoted to biopolymer because it is such a key item. That will, of course, come after Circuit 3s in my tutorial series, so we've got a fair amount of time before that. Yeah, and I've also been trying to get as much chromium as I can, but this is all, of course, being limited by the borax. Like, I need more borax. How are my dudes doing out here? They're doing pretty good. They're doing pretty good. They've got all this done. They're now working on the second line. And yeah, this is going to be the new grid going forward for me. The new pattern of the grid. It's like, yeah, I've got chromite sand. Like, we are not lacking in the chromite sand for chromium. No, what we're lacking is the ability to actually convert that chromite sand into anything even remotely useful because of the lack of borax right now. Of course, if I really wanted to, I could just send some syngas to a borax mine, but that's not how we're playing. That's not how we're playing this. If there is a reasonable way of getting it infinitely, we're going to do so. That's why we are, that's why I call this off the rails. We are doing things in a completely unintended manner. As unintended as possible. That's what we're doing. That is the goal. Do things as unintended as possible, which includes using ground boring as the primary method of getting most of the ore types. There is no ground boring recipe for uranium, for example, and the way to get uranium infinitely is particle acceleration converting gold to uranium. Now, I don't know about you, but I am not interested in making that much gold to make the amount of uranium that we're going to end up needing due to the need to make 70% uranium. So 70% uranium powder is going to be needed for heavy fermion material. This is the, key item, the only reason why we need 70% uranium powder, or to do any uranium processing whatsoever, really, I think, is to make heavy fermion, and this stuff is another key ingredient for Mark III buildings. I could do this now as soon as I set up uranium processing, so in terms of what we can do today, this is on that list of what I want to work towards. First, we have to make more borax. But before that, I need to solve this power issue, so we are going to make additional power. That is the agenda. Now, speaking of which, for those Mark III turbines, what is limiting my production on the Circuit 3s? I think it comes down to the inductors. Yes, it is the inductors. That is the only thing missing here. We've even got the gold. We're just missing the inductors. Now, the inductors, these guys, This one is limited on the gold. Okay. So I think the gold is being limited by my production of hydrogen peroxide, so I want to... So add tack onto the list here. You know what? Let's actually use to-do list. I very rarely do this. Uh, pipe up to base high per hydrogen peroxide. That's mine. We're going to do that. We need to do more power. As a priority, we need more borax. And we need to do uranium processing to 70%. Those are the things that we need to work on. So step 1, more power. This is going to be a copy and paste of my setup for the Mark II, and then some minor power pole logistics work for that. This adds another, like, gig-ish to the base. Gigawatt. Couple gigawatts, I think. Should be. I have 3 of these, and yet I'm running out of power. Like, huh? Yeah. So, you copy. I have to figure out where I want to put this thing. Where am I going to put this thing? Alright. Do I have, like, the zoom command somewhere in here? Yeah, right there. I need to make sure that the power poles aren't problematic. I'll go ahead and build this. Here. Yeah. This should be close enough that... Yeah, I need to get rid of that, because that one will be an issue. So my construction bots should be able to build that. I built it. I stuck the roboports close enough, as well as power generation technically close enough, so that it should be good and fully capable of continuing on and building itself. So there's some power. It's not done yet for the task. That's just placing the blueprint down. I have to actually get the wiring done properly on it. Which means physically going out there. Or I can attempt to do that from my map view here. So we've got... How did I do it with these guys? It was from this up top. Yeah. U. And I need to connect it to there. So this'll... I hate that it does that, by the way. It's like, no, I don't want all these things. Could you, please? Please? Like, just no? Stop? How far are you? Not that far. And this will be why I walk out there, so that I can place those particular power poles. Because those are outside of the construction bot distance. Did I actually build that right? I think so, yeah. Connects the primary powers. Now, one thing that I had done with the others was connect the internal networks. So I think I might want to do that. Am I holding on to... Of course I'm not holding on to any copper cables. Why would I hold on to any copper cables at all? Ay, ay, ay. Not good. Not good. I need copper cables in order to do the wiring if I wanted to set that up properly. We shall see. I might be able to, like, snake some medium poles around. Place the thing. Thank you, nanobots. I am tempted, though, to put standard bots in rather than continue to use nanobots. What is this heresy? The regular bots are decent. Pretty good, actually. The issue being, of course, I would have to sacrifice something in my armor to do that. We're just going to place stuff, whatever's in my inventory, just walk around, do the things. This is going to take a little time for this to actually be fully built. But we can help out as best we can, just by walking around, placing pipe and all that good stuff. And apparently a tailings pond. Okay. Tailings pond is for excess steam produced in all of this. So what is this? We haven't actually talked about this power setup in a good little while. This particular power setup oh, right. Why does this go up here? I don't even know why I had this go up here. So this power setup is primarily based off of hydrogen. This is a hydrogen processing setup, basically. It vents a lot of the oxygen. It's just a lot of hydrogen being processed into combustion mixture and then being combusted. You need a lot of coke to feed that, though. So we've sort of got 4 yellow belts worth of coke being produced out of this. And, you know, like 160 mushroom plantations, just casually. 160 mushroom plantations. Looks like we used all of our pipe, so I guess I better go back to the network, or just use the rest of these medium poles. Let's get back on the network and be good. I am constantly requesting gas vents. Good. Filling up on stone. Now, in terms of my network, all of my construction bots are currently, you know, in use. They are in use for various construction tasks. So yeah, they've placed that thing. They can place that one. And because they have the power, they will be able to finish building that themselves. Though the construction bots are doing work. They are working. I can leave them to it now. And ideally, that is the more power done. I shouldn't have to touch that area again. Theoretically. Theoretically, I shouldn't have to touch any of this again. It should just work. Oh, I know what I can do. I can do a line from, like, here to here. Yeah, I could do a line from here to here, and that would do it. Do I want to do that? Right now? While I'm here? I guess I should. Yeah, as long as I have the big poles for it. All the Logibots are trying to take this stone away. The occasional Mark IIs coming in. Yay, Mark II Logibots. Slowly but surely. Oh, I see. There's more solar panels going over. Yes, and thank you for the pipe as well. Greatly appreciated. Yeah, these guys are just coming far and wide to relieve me of my stone, but I have work to do. Really? Like, really? 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 Okay. Oh. Of course I used the wrong thing there. Of course I used the wrong thing. That would explain a lot. Yes, I know I should use that HCl that's produced out of there and not void it, but eh. You know, just eh. It's more important that the thing actually moves. That's another thing I did, by the way. I expanded my HCl a bit. As well as my ammonia. So now the niobium down here is, you know, moving as it does. Thing about niobium mining, regular niobium mining, it's one of the things that I should be ground boring that I will be at some point. It's a drilling fluid 3 ground boring recipe, though, so have to bear that in mind. It's a little bit different. I can do it, actually. It's not too bad, but these miners are fueled with drill heads. So these mines are actually, it's a really good idea to use efficiency modules on these to use less drill heads over time. And of course you can beacon these as well. So if you find a pretty decent patch of niobium ore in terms of ore density, yeah, if you find a pretty decent ore density patch, you can beacon the hell out of a small amount of mines and have keep the efficiency to negative 80% power consumption, and yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great. It'll use a lot less of the drill heads overall. They behave, and this is the same thing you can do with any of the mega mines that use the mega drill heads, where it's far more important. Way more important. Mega drill heads are expensive, but last basically forever. They last basically forever in those mines. Um, Similarly, I think that this is the same. Yeah, the molybdenum mines are the same in that you can efficiency module them to use less drill heads over time. But again, both of these things are drilling fluid 3 recipes. I also, at some point, need to actually do the ground boring of the aluminium as well. So, I am ground boring moly. I need to make note of that. I am ground boring molybdenum. I need to ground bore for aluminium as well as niobium. Those are the big two that are missing on my base right now that I definitely want to do ground boring of. In particular, I'm waiting a little bit on the niobium, partly because I also want to secure my circuit slash module production, because I want to have a lot of good production modules, productivity modules to go into any niobium chain that I set up. The niobium chain is very set. You just make it. It doesn't change. But every step along the way can use productivity modules. So if I'm going to be ground boring for the stuff using drilling fluid 3, I want to make sure that I am using the productivity to the fullest extent that I currently can at the current tech level, to make better use of that drilling fluid and of that. Pretty sure it still uses refined syngas on the ground boring recipe. I've actually got a ground borer here. Neo is... Where is it? Wherefore art thou, niobium? You are... here. Yes, refined syngas. So if I were to say want 15 per second of niobium ore, more than I'm currently mining right now, mind you, 300 refined syngas and 150 of the drilling fluid 3. And then 3 per second drill heads. 3 per second drill heads, and there's no way around this one. No way around this one. Which is sad. Very sad indeed. Now, also, note, you can absolutely beacon ground borers, but you cannot beacon productivity, so these, unfortunately, will never be able to be very productive. And the energy consumption by using efficiency modules on these things, yeah, it doesn't affect how much drill heads it uses, sadly, because it's not using drill heads as a fuel. It's actually an ingredient, not a fuel, so that's sad. Anywho, so let's get these power poles that I wanted to make brought up. I need to bring them from down here and up so that I can connect these internal power networks. I guess I could actually go this way and connect it here, and then walk in such a way that I can get this all the way down and connect it up with my current... Oh, please tell me, yeah, they can reach out there. Alright, so if I click on this, we now have a lot more production than consumption, and that will make sure, that will guarantee, ideally, that everything will move once it's built. And that will take care of the extra power for now that we need. Clicking on this one. Yeah, it's slowly but surely building up. I apparently have some accumulators as well. Interesting. Yeah, 5 gigawatts is a lot. There we go. We should now be connected out to here. So yeah, now these have power. All the things beginning to become operational again. Or for the first time, I should say. And that'll slowly but surely build. I don't think there's anything preventing the continued building of this outside of maybe not having enough roboports right now. Going to throw out there that building out my grid out here uses a lot of roboports, as well as a lot of charging stations. So chances are we are limited on that. And yeah, we're limited to the point where I have gaps in here because there just aren't enough roboports to build the stuff. So we're now waiting on roboports being built, and then we will have glorious, beautiful, more power. Ideally, it's like one. I guess I can now just assume that it's more like 1.5 rather than like 2. We shall see. So let's get back to it. Our next setup, next thing on the agenda, get the hydrogen peroxide pipe from my current production. That is a bunch of Mark II bots that just came and went. Like, hello. Hello, Mark II bots. Nice to see you. That's a lot of you that just came. Here's some Mark I's that immediately left to charge. Yeah, they got within inches of me and then decided, hey, I need to charge. Let's go charge rather than pick the thing up and then charge. Thank you, game. Only a couple of them actually grabbed a thing before going to charge. So now we have a train waiting. Eventually they'll pick up all the stone in my inventory and be done with it. Oh hey, thanks for the pipes. Thanks for my pipes. I like pipes. Pipes are awesome. I don't need these pipes though. These pipes can die in a fire. Get rid of all of these, please. I don't need those clogging up my inventory. Never again! Shall those pipes clog my inventory? By the way, these bots will chase you forever unless you leave the network. There's also another thing. Another thing to add to the to-do list here, and that is superconductor substrate. So I'm totally carrying around PCB factories, Mark II PCB factories, for a reason, and that is because of superconductor substrate. We were going to make this last time, and make superconductors. I started making the magnetic units, or I noticed that I had been making the magnetic units, and I started making the rare earth magnets, so all I really needed to do was get more MSA. That's all I really needed to do for this, was make more MSA, as well as have the PCB factories. And then the superconductors themselves are liquid nitrogen, as well as the substrate. So it's like, well, we've got all of this now. We've actually got the silver zinc alloy at the moment, and the gold technically in low amounts. Did I really not already do this hydrogen peroxide line? Like, I could have sworn I was thinking about doing this off screen, and I don't think I did. No, because I ran the gasoline line down. I didn't run the hydrogen peroxide up yet. So, basically, I have a... Hello? Okay. I have a little bit of an excess. Little bit of an excess of the stuff and things. Wanted to make sure that I remembered to do that. Also, should upgrade all of this stuff in here to Mark II, but one step at a time. One step at a time. Hydrogen peroxide. Wherefore art thou? It is made in filters. Made in filters all the way down into the etching solution, I think. That's why I made it at first. And it's all the way down here. Yeah. Here we go. Do I have a list of all my mods? Yes. I think I did a command. I actually made a command for that. The list of mods is on my stream schedule page on my website. There's the link. There it is. It exists. It is not a mod pack per se. It is just a bunch of mods. Just a bunch of mods installed. Primarily using the Pyanodon's mod suite with a whole bunch of quality of life additions. So this is the primary hydrogen peroxide that I have. That's not currently being completely used. That's not being completely used right now. So I want to make better use of this by sending it up to Circuit 3s. Now I need to find a good line to draw for this. I need to get it all the way to you. Here. Right here. It's used here, and it's used in... something else. What is it used in? Gold. Right. Gold! It's down at gold as well. Because it's used in step 1 of gold. So I need this line, if at all possible. That's not going to be a gap that I can get through. Alright, so it's going to go somewhere in this line. If I had to hazard a guess. Somewhere in here. Maybe even this particular tile. This particular tile looks free. Tile column. So, as long as I don't move my mouse, period. Let me just double check that we are, yep, that's the line. And I'm using those ghosts just to see where the line is that I'm going to. Bringing this out here. Have as few kinks as possible in my line that I'm about to draw. All the way over there, huh? then, as I said, this will help with being able to produce more gold, and therefore more circuit 3s. Therefore, giving me more of the combustion turbine Mark IIIs and allowing me to get more power without having to produce or build anything new. So that's where we're at right now, is trying to not have to build anything straight up new. Also, I need to make sure that my phone is in a decent location so that when the alarm goes off, it's not buzzing on the desk. That would not be a good idea. We've got about 23-ish minutes before we will take a brief break of a few minutes. Just to get up and stretch the legs and do all that good stuff. This also helps give my bots some additional time to continue building out the base. Every single one of my construction bots right now is a Mark II construction bot, for reference, so they are going to be pretty speedy at getting the construction tasks done, just so long as, you know, I've actually got the items that they need to place. Ah, convenient. So convenient, this particular column. But I do need to go here, and I'm... good. Good, good, good. That works. So how far am I going here? Fairly far. Okay, we have arrived. Ish. So we need to get here, right here. Of course that would be in the way. There we go. There's extra hydrogen peroxide. So now we should not be limited by the hydrogen peroxide, at the very least. What are you limited by? What are you limited by? What are you limited by? What are you... Nichrome. Nichrome! If we're going to be limited by anything, I'd rather it be nichrome. Okay, I'd rather that be the bottleneck here, so... Hey, we did it. We fixed the primary problem, but it has now been replaced by another. In the form of needing yet more nichrome. How's this doing? Just fine. Now let's go look at the circuit 3s again. Because by doing that, I should have also kicked up the amount of hydrogen peroxide going into MSA up here. Technically. Yeah, and it's just limited by DMS, which is being limited by stone wool! Oh boy, stone wool. My arch nemesis, the stone wool. I need to get a lot more of that. My nemesis, the stone wool. I hate stone wool. It's highly annoying. highly, highly annoying. I realize this is not a good way of doing stone wool. Make this completely plain and clear and obvious. This is not how to do stone wool. Do not do stone wool this way. Do it with belt. Please God, do it with belt. It's way too much of a impact on your logistic network. That's where I'm sure over half of my bots in use are stuck on stone wool duty, and it's not even enough gravel, I think, is the limiting factor on here. Pretty sure it's not enough gravel. Like, I've got the creosote production for it. Creosote is fine. Coke is fine. Gravel, not so much. This basically eats as much gravel as I could possibly produce. It eats all of it. All of it gets eaten out there. Granted, I still have yet to actually convert these. Yeah. So I need to actually start... I need to add these classifiers. So these classifiers take the sand and make gravel, iron oxide, and crushed quartz. That's what all of this sand is for. All of this sand is being used for these classifiers to make this stuff, including gravel. And then the gravel gets shoved into the stone wall. But these two don't have the classifiers yet, and I need to add them at some point. Alright, so I did the pipe. More borax. Let's start work on the quote-unquote more borax. And we're going to do that out here. In these beautiful new locations. Fortunately, I have blueprints for this. A few blueprints for this. I am going to start with this one. And we are, of course, going to start with the one on the bottom here. At the very bottom here. Let's keep going, keep going, keep going. Here we are. We have arrived. Do I want to do it in this one on the left or the one on the right? Left or right? Well, I don't think it will ultimately matter, so I'm going to do the one... So what do I need in here on the input? I need the... No, it'll be better here, just to help out with the logistics of the pipes that I have to bring in. This is better existing here. Yeah, we'll do... This will be used exclusively for doing borax. You know what? We can do our borax processing next door. That's what we can actually do. We can mine / ground bore the borax in this quadrant and then do the actual processing next door. That'll be what we do. And yes, we are totally covering up a 2 mil uranium patch. Because I don't care. If I need more uranium, I'll go out and I'll tap... Where is it? Where is it? I know you're out here somewhere. Where are you? Here. I have a 71 million uranium node sitting right here. 71 million that I can plop down a single building on top of, throw as much gasoline at it as I possibly can, as well as some mega drill heads, throw 80%, negative 80% efficiency at it, and as much speed as I possibly can. mixing, throw productivity modules in the building itself, and just laugh. Just laugh going forward with our infinite supplies of uranium at that point. Still with the power, huh? That will be changing soon. So this will need a few things. It will need guar. 2 of these. Excuse me. There. That is guar the first. That is guar the second. We also need to have this stuff. We need syngas and we need coal gas. Oh, interesting. I didn't... There should totally be a thingy here. CG plus SG right here. I need 2 of these. Two of these beautiful, beautiful things. There we go. So this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So 5 tiles just devoted to that much stuffs. All for borax. It is all for the borax. Because I just need a lot more borax. I just need lots and lots and lots of borax. This'll be fine. Oh, that's going to be an issue though. Yeah, I totally used blue belts for this. Yeah, that's not gonna actually build anytime soon. Yeah, that might be a little bit of a problem. How's this doing? How's this one doing? Still waiting on that roboport, huh? Yeah, if I had planned this and done it with my belts that I'm holding on to right now, the even faster belts. If I did all of this with the even faster belts, not the blues, we'd be okay. But I'll leave it as is. My bots are doing their thing right now. I should have enough of the plantations, like the actual buildings themselves, I'm not as concerned about. My primary concern is just in the belts. Belts are the concern. Because remember, I am requesting 1,000 of these. So I'm holding on to basically every single one that I have at the moment. Oh yeah, I totally put a request in here in case this didn't move, so I could always make sure that this is moving. Alright. Shh. sure. This is Guargum. I don't think that's gonna come in from there. Per se. It'll meet up and it'll go straight across. Some places I actually do need this 140 per second belt. Some places I absolutely do not, but I need something faster than 45 on the splitters. So just making note of that. They actually... I actually had a splitter? What? Hello. Actual splitter. Nice to see you. Alright, well they've got their sand now. Maybe I should do the same thing as this, but here. For Guargum. And then voila, we have even more drilling fluid 1. As if I really need all the extra drilling fluid 1 here. And then the concern is the syngas. Enough syngas for like all of the things. So this is 6, that's 15 per second of raw borax. It's 100 drilling fluid 1. We've got, you know, just a casual 300 here. So I can triple this. That'll be 600 syngas. You know, just 600 syngas, just casual. Sure. We'll be okay with that much, right? That much is fine. We're okay with this. Oop, except I'm not okay with that. It needs to be reversed. Thank you so kindly. So 400 syngas, huh? You know, I probably want to have this as the connector down between the two. You're off a tile. Excuse me, but I want to go here. And there we go. Now I need coal gas, lubricant, drill heads on the stuff here as well. So this... I guess I'll feed them here. Auto-saving! That'll be those. This needs more syngas plus the aromatics. So, yeah, we also need aromatics. Where is the aromatics? Hey, it's aromatics. Well, isn't that convenient? So now we've got six of these devoted to this. That's not too awfully bad. Also, I sort of want to do a deconstruction planner to clear out all of the junk just sitting around. Yes, please, please clear all of these rocks. A lot of this is volcanic zone, biome up top, so there's lots and lots of junk. Hello, my minions! Go! Go, my thousands of construction bots. Go do my bidding as they sweep across the land and grab all of this stone. Look at them go. They are definitely doing their job. They just need to do more of their job. Here's even more. Here's even more. Another sweep across the land of all of the construction bots. Look at them. Look at them go. All of my beautiful Mark II construction bots. Isn't it glorious? They're all Mark IIs. Don't have a single Mark I left of these guys. I've got plenty of Mark I of the Logi bots, but all of the Mark IIs, yeah, they're fine. So I think it's actually just about that time to take a brief break. My alarm is about to go off in about a minute, so I'm just going to have a look here. This makes 400 per second of aromatics, just for reference. And there's a lot of empty space here for some other things that we can possibly do. So just as a point of reference, 400 per second on the aromatics here with these two speed modules in each of these buildings. This stuff, it's just a lot, okay? I don't know exactly what the calculation is on these, although chances are I do absolutely need a lot more syngas. I'm pretty sure I need more syngas to actually feed this much. Pretty sure that's not 600 per second. But anyway, that is my alarm. So we are going to take a brief break right here. Get up, stretch the legs, do all of the important stuff, and we will be back in about 3-ish minutes. And I have returned. Let's get back to it, shall we? So, working towards the goal of the more borax. At the moment, that is our current plan. This will eventually be, like, self-sustaining, but for now, it isn't. We have to wait until we have enough of the belts, basically. There's just not enough belt currently in order to really get this going. But once it is going, oh boy, it'll be amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now, I will also note we've got 8 total of these, which is apparently 533 syngas. I sort of need 600 plus. I need 600 plus another. We've got 3 of these. plus another 160. So, well, not quite 160 because in actuality it's just shy of 280. It's like 27. It's actually 270 something. So effectively 160. Because the crude oil is being used to make the steam. That steam cracks into the heavy oil that gets converted into the lubricant. Yes, I know I can productivity module the lube. Yes, I know I can productivity module the lube. Cannot use it there. Can use it here as well. I could use it here, but I'm not going to. I could definitely do this. This is vanilla behavior. This because it's the vanilla recipe. Just heavy into lube. 1-to-1 can get more lube out of this, but that would mean more buildings, right? And since we're being made out of mushrooms and flowers, since we're sourcing basically this crude oil from water, like why do I necessarily need to be productive about it? Because it's all coming from water. It just saves like a modicum amount of space of a small-ish amount of space overall. So yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. So we need more syngas. We've got enough coal gas to make more syngas. Like, that's not a big problem here. So if we had 4 more gasifiers making syngas, this would be fine. This would be perfect. So I just have to find a spot and place 4 more buildings making syngas. Like, that's no issue. And I could just do this on this one place. I could even do this right here. Boom. And then I'd have to, like, make sure that the ash has a place to go, and that is that. Just make sure that the ash has a place to go, make sure that the tar goes somewhere, which it absolutely does. The tar is going places. And that's it. The tar actually will end up making its way into this thing that's going to make even more coal gas. There's a little bit of a loop, an intended loop there. These do not use productivity modules anymore. They used to. But with increased amounts of module slots, you could end up in situations where you ended up with more tar out than the tar that converts into coal gas is used. You ended up with a net positive tar here, so you ended up with basically an infinite loop producing more than enough coal gas to keep the whole system running without needing any other outside inputs, which, yeah, is not a thing that Pyanodon wants. Wants to avoid like the plague anything even remotely close to things that are like that. So, fortunately though, we do at least still get a little bit of the tar back that we can make into the coal gas again, have a bit of a geometric series there again. Just offsetting a lot of the input cost, or at least some of the input cost for that. And now we basically just have to wait for belt and all that good stuff. And I guess I have to combine the stuffs somehow, so we're going to do that this way. That just makes the pipes all combined into one. So, yeah, between these 8 and these 4, we should have plenty of syngas. Now, one other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to combine the pipes. So this tank is a syngas tank. So I'm going to go and bring this up to the other syngas tank. Right here. So we are going to connect our tanks. Then the other tanks, the coal gas, will do the same thing with the coal gas. And there we go. Now we can do whatever other logistics that we need to do without having to worry about whether or not they're connected to each other. Now the only potential issue here is that by adding those extra 4 gasifiers, I'm unsure if I'm able to fully kill all of the ash. I'm unsure if I'm able to fully kill the ash. If I have enough burners for that. We'll find out. It will be very apparent if not. But anyway, let's move right along. Moving right along. Really, Slacked Lime? Slacked Lime. Why are you not moving at all? You go all the way down to glass, do you not? You are my glass lime. Yeah, this is lacking Slacked Lime. No wonder we are having a little bit of issue here. It's so slow because we're at nearly half UPS at this point. It's like, do I even bother and just be like, let's maintain a constant frame rate by doing 0.5 game speed? Because we should ideally be able to maintain a constant frame rate. And look, it's not even at 30. What's going on? Like, we're now running the game at half the speed. It should be able to maintain the 30. But no, it's not. It's just not able to do it. Huh? And yet if you go to 1, it's 40s. Makes no sense to me at times. Anywhoozle, let's get the logistics worked on. We'll bring this down to here. How convenient. There's your drilling fluid 1. Now, of course, ideally, at some point in the near future, I will actually have a self-perpetuating setup for making these drill heads, and ideally this borax will actually be part of that larger solution. But until then, we will request the drill heads. I actually have, like, a lot of buildings strewn across my base, devoted exclusively to the production of drill heads. There's really a lot of them. There we go. And of course, I will also need outputs of the stuff. That's a lot of borax. Just gonna throw that out there. That's a lot. Hold up. We have 18, yes? Yeah, you know, just casually 4 yellow belts. Or just casually a blue belt. Not 4 yellows. 4 yellows is 60. Just, you know, a blue belt. 3 yellows. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. 2.5. That's definitely enough for a single stack inserter. Like that's stack inserter territory. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. That's another good question. No. We're gonna have bot-based stuff, but we're not gonna have that type of bot-based stuff. You know what? We're producing a blue belt in total, so you know what? We're going to do it this way, with these belts. I am forgetting something. Yeah, this goes this way. Now, how in the F? Sure. This will be this. There we go. And that, as they say, will be that, barring the syngas in. The 600 syngas in. Syngas in. Oh boy. And then the syngas over here as well, and the aromatics in as well. So let's pull in, get this logistics done on the aromatics. That'll be all the way up here. Do I have these going into a... I do. On the opposite end. Joy. I do have these going in, but it's on the opposite end of the stuffs. Alright. Into a tank. Take my tank. Bring it, I guess, over. Where's that, input pipe? Here? So, thing about this is that as long as it has the drill heads in, it functions without any other outside input, if I'm not completely mistaken. With all of this, like, this is just a drill head in input, ultimately, from all of this. It's just drill heads for all 6 of these tiles. So this is why I want to have a setup that is dedicated drill heads, right? So I could, if I added drill heads to this, it would be self-sustaining, and I could just copy it and paste it wherever I want, and I could have it as much as I want of anything. Quite literally, as much as I want of anything. Like, in the very literal sense, I would have as much as I want of anything. The issue is figuring out the proper ratios and all that good stuff. And deciding, making a decision as to exactly how I want to get a lot of the stuff. Let's see. So this will actually end up being... like this. There's a better way to do that if I'm turning, but oh well. So that'll be that. Yes, I'm doing the green splitters there because A, they are faster than the blues, but B, they're only circuit 2s, as well as the previous splitter to make. What is this missing? Hello? What is this missing? Circuit 2s. Yeah. So it's just circuit 2s. That's limiting factors now. For most things. Get the pipe for the stuffs here. Oh, that makes me... I'm actually thinking we're going to do it this way. Hello? That's all combined. Now that makes this infinitely simpler. Yeah, that makes this infinitely simpler. Is there enough? That would be a massive hell no. That would be, one hell of a hell no. So we'll go this way. Oh, that sucks. That would have been a lot more convenient. Oh well. That just means we need to go out one further here. Because don't forget, I need the coal gas also brought down. That will eventually feed the stuff here. Copper. Alright, let's actually fix this and do it properly. How... again? That. Duh. That's how you do the turn for the lane balancer. Took me a second there, but I got it. Just through muscle memory, primarily. But otherwise, yeah, that's like that. That's that. Like, I'm pretty sure once all the belts are placed, everything will operate, and everything will be awesome. The only other thing... before we start moving on and build out the processing of the borax is to route the wonderful, glorious, and beautiful Guargum. So we're going to do that. We will route the Guargum. Copper monolith. Of course, you're there. And I covered you. Okay, we're gonna put that there, but we're going to also bring in the other line. Like so. Okay. So I know that this is, like, right next to that. Right next to that line, so we've got some room. Expanding Guar? We've been doing a lot, Pyanodon. I've been expanding a fair bit of things, but yes, this will be Guar. Because this is going to be a set of Guar specifically for more Borax. We are on the hunt for Borax. That is what I'm up to. On the hunt for Borax currently. I don't have enough belt. Hello, Jessa, as well. And welcome, Pyanodon. So, what have I been up to thus far today? Well, I've expanded my grid out a fair bit. I'm also... My bots are slowly but surely building out another power setup, because apparently I don't quite have enough power at night. So, we're building out a new thing for, stuffs. Super expensive belt. Yes, it's expensive, for this red, 140 per second belt, but, yeah, I'm starting to design around using it, as well as around, blues. Around blues. Blues will eventually be made, so... Use Mark II accumulators. I need supercapacitors for that, and I don't currently have supercapacitors. Supercapacitors require cores and shells. Alright, shells are... I can make those. Alright, shells I can make. Cores? I can make cores. Okay, so I could make supercapacitors. What are they used for? Circuit 4s, so I'll need them for circuit 4s anyway. As well as quantum computers. And... of course, the black hole generators. So, yeah. I'm going to need them anyway, so I guess I could use the Mark II accumulators. Maybe. Maybe, just maybe, I could use some of these. Make some of them. The issue primarily being I don't really want yet another thing right now. Eating circuits and Nexalit. I've got a lot of things right now eating Nexalit, as well as circuits, and, yeah, I need to fix my Borax first. Once I fix my Borax, then I'll have more Nexalit, because this is actually being limited a bit by Borax, I think. Yeah. A little bit. A little bit. Looks like it actually managed to get extra borax in. Enough for these, at least. Not for these. So we're not all green. We'd basically see green on 3 of these advanced foundries, I think. Green lights, if they were all working fully. Yes, these extreme fast belts added in the Ultimate Transport Belt mod, or the Ultimate Belts mod, move at 140 items per second. So they're really fast. Ahem. The inserters can't grab even at this speed. Or they can just barely grab stuff at this speed. The red inserters can't grab at this speed unless there's a backup. But the stacks and the blues can, I think. Yeah, at too fast of a belt speed, it does end up with some issues. There are some issues at times, but yeah, I need more Nexlet. I need more Nexlet, especially after adding this mine. So I'm showing this off again just because Pyanodon's here and he really likes to see the big mines being used. The beautiful mega mines. This thing has a Geiger counter ticking when you get near it, by the way. Beautiful uranium mine, yes. You want to fill a blue vanilla belt with the output of a megamine. What value should you change? Well, A, because mines only output on one lane, you're not going to be able to fill a full belt of any kind from a single mine. So that's your first problem. You would need like 2 outputs basically next to each other, and I don't know how the game would be able to handle that. Is the game even capable of doing more than 1 on the output? I don't know. Unless you output into a chest, yes, that is a way. You can output into a chest and then loader the output from the chest. You can do that. That would give you the throughput. But if you're asking about how to get 45 per second, because that's what it is. It's 45 per second for a blue belt. You just set the let's see. You just set the mining speed to 45 per second. That's all you really need to do now. You took the 200% off of the rocks themselves already, so it's just you just make the mining speed 45. But that's still going to take into account productivity for mining on top of that. So if you do set the mining speed to 45, tech giving mining productivity is going to further enhance that up to plus 10, plus 20%, plus 30%, plus 40% of that base 45. So you're never going to exactly get 45 set always all the time from one of these big mines. And why are you talking about adding even more output to these mines? You already quite literally doubled their speed just recently. So now you're talking about now multiplying it times another 4.5, like another 4.5x? Like, huh? Oh, I mean, I'll take it. That's definitely absolutely a much bigger driving force to actually use these things. If they're outputting 45 base, if the output is enough to keep a base running, Well, also consider that you can beacon the living crap out of these things at Purple Science. So, um, beacons can make them even better. Um, so I would say, yeah, like 1 or 2 resource nodes at decent decent density of the expected resources on the node would potentially be enough to fuel a base for quite some time. To fully fuel a base. So if you did that for, like, say, iron, that would actually make me potentially want to use it on iron, for example. Definitely would make me want to use it on zinc. It would absolutely make me actually start thinking about and considering using the big mines for zinc as well as for titanium. Not really so much on lead. I don't know, not nor copper per se. There's some of these things, there are easier ways to get them. Some of them just aren't used enough to justify. But definitely things like, iron, zinc, titanium, even potentially. You don't have any niobium rocks or molybdenum rocks. My phosphate, yeah, my phosphate at 10 mil or 11 mil here, this phosphate mine would last like 300 hours at current operation. It would last like less than a quarter of that if it's made even faster at 45 per second. So, yeah, that's a thing. I also need to like get these robots off of here because, yeah, they're requesting. That's a lot of bot stuff, and yet, yes, it's not beaconed. No bacon exists out here right now for this particular phosphate mine. Um, if it was beaconed, it would be a lot faster. It would be a primary source, and it would last a whole of like a few hours. Yeah, I somewhat joke. It would probably last about 30-ish if I were to beacon this to a more sufficient output, even more sufficient output. Um, so it's just a trade-off. How long does the rock last versus how fast is it mining by default? Um, I have a quartz mine. There's no reason to use a quartz mine. Uh, the uranium mine has 17 mil. So the uranium mine will last well over 300 hours by itself right now. If I have the gasoline to properly feed it, and this is why I need more Nextlet. By the way, in case you hadn't seen me pointing this out on Discord, Nextlet Processing 3, Purple Science, requires Yellow Science for Mining Machines 4. Nextlet Processing 3 requires Mining Machines 4. This should be the requirement for 4, because that's where you get sintering. You get sintering recipes at the utility science level 4 Nextlet processing, not 3. So mining machines 4 should be the prereq for 4, not for 3. And 3 is where you get the mine. So ideally, you unlock 3 at Purple Science and can actually make the mega mine for it, right? Yes, it shall be fixed. Good. Good, it shall be fixed. Because this way we can do mega Nextlet mining. Although, that being said, ore is not the problem for me right now. It's actually being able to process it. That's my problem right now, is just having, like, the scrubbers aren't scrubbing fast enough. That's my issue with the Nextlet chain. Scrubbers don't scrub fast enough. Nexlet rocks. I know I've seen them. I have one here. I have a 31 mil up to the north of my base. As well as a 69 mil right next to a 99 mil right up here. Speed module them. They are. They are speed moduled. Like, Pyanodon, these are speed moduled. You hate this map so much. Yeah. I've got all of the things on this map. It's rather nice. And then I think I've had Nexlet elsewhere. I've got every node. I've got every type of node somewhere. Various locations for all the various nodes. There's a 6.9 raw Nexlet sitting right pretty here, near some tar. So yeah, I'm not missing anything, just for reference. Nothing is obviously missing on this map. And I've got multiple of everything. That being said, you don't have a rock for niobium, and you don't have a rock for molybdenum. You have the rocks for everything else, and you don't have the rock for borax. So, at least I don't think you have a rock for borax. So there are some rocks that don't exist for some resources. Just because they simply just aren't things that exist. I mean, I've got raw borax. I am mining the raw borax. I've got a yellow belt of raw borax. Traditionally mined raw borax. It's not enough. It's not enough to feed my base. Even with my ground boring of it, it's not enough. I've got a yellow belt here. Correction, I've got a lane. A single lane of a yellow belt that goes all the way up to my bot-based section of the base, but only a trickle makes it here. Only a small trickle actually makes it up here of that borax, and then the amount that I make on my network up here. Like, look at this BS. Look at this BS. I've got a freaking beacon. This one thing is 7.5 per second of borax. This one ground borer is 7.5, plus another 15 from these, and like 3 point something from this one. There's over 20, well over 20 per second of the borax going into all of these washers, making borax, and it's not enough. It's not enough. All of it is being requested at all times. Everything that is being output from these washers is being requested at all times, which is why we have taken the step of making 300 per second drilling fluid 1, and we're going to make 45 raw borax per second. We're going to make 45 per second, and we're going to process all of it. Now, we were working on getting this line. Oh, and it will also produce the copper locally to feed the 300 drilling fluids. So we've got 15 per second ground bored copper as well in here. So let's see how many drill heads that is. That's 2 and 3, so 5 per second. If this was actually running on the drill heads. Yeah, that's a thing. I actually need you, like, there. So can you go, like, there? Thanks. And that's that. Once these are fully operational battle stations, they will feed enough, glorious stuff for that. They will feed the guar. Hold 3 per second. It's actually... These actually make 1.6, and they don't use a single module either. I was happy that I actually was able to shove an additional 12 in here to not have to put a single speed module 1 in any of these, so that I could actually get the full output. So it's 1.6 guar gum per 2x2 tile. Standard unit. Alright, let's actually, like, get washers and place washers. Let's do that. Yeah. I probably don't have any washers. On the way, 8. Okay, good. I now need washers to process 45 per second of borax. Yay! How many is that? We're looking for 45. 16! 16 is the magic number. That is a lot of tailings. Let's do wonderful things with tailings at some point. That would be great. It's like, oh, I see additional iron and copper ore. I've totally got a blueprint that I'm working on that can make use of the excess ore. Yeah. So, by the way, I'm working on a self-perpetuating setup to produce drill heads. A lot more drill heads. And this is actually making use of part of that. So a lot of this setup here I designed specifically as part of a setup to make drill heads. I've just, instead of having, like, the iron ground boring, I've just expanded and added a whole F-ton of borax here. But in principle, it's the same sort of deal. I've just got another thingy that's unslimed iron processing into molten. Just, I'm still tweaking that. I need to add steel for it, and that'll be the steel and iron for that. I have to think about the chromium setup because I can do something like this. Hello, chromium. Small amounts of chromium. I'm technically reducing chromium now, Pyanodon. I've technically got reduction happening in my base now. Technically, I've got reduction to make molten chromium. I've technically done it. Eh. We did the thing on here. This is a different reduction process than literally every other reduction process because this is light oil and not the other stuff. Diesel, I think, is the one that it uses most of the time. Or is that sintering? No, sintering is syngas, so it's usually diesel, pressured air, and oddly enough, the sodium carbonate, not the hydroxide. So this has two things that are different than most reduction processes, but it's also the first time that you can do reduction, and it's available to you from, like, blue science, even though you need purple, really, to actually make the derps to begin with. But yeah, this is just a setup to get some amounts of extra molten chromium without mining it whatsoever. So we're not even mining chromium here, and it's just a little bit of extra light oil on the input here. By the way, in case you hadn't noticed, I keep occasionally bringing this up. So you have a tar recipe to convert it into light oil and tall oil. It gives equal amounts of light oil and tall oil in this recipe, I think. Uh, there is a recipe to convert tall oil into light oil. It uses some light oil to convert all of the tall oil into light oil. These things move at 2 per second at Mark 2. These things are too slow by a factor of 10. Just so that we're clear, in per mark level, to convert all of the tall oil that is produced from one of these DDCs, you need 10 fluid separators of the same mark level to fully process all of the tall oil into light oil. 10 to 1. It's absolute insanity. So, 16, huh? Good, I can fit 8 across, so that just makes this a bit simpler, so I can just do that. Good. Now I need to figure out what the heck I want to do with the tailings. Because I actually have sufficient quantities of the tailings dust. I could make acid gas. Do I really want to, though? And then do I want to separate the tailings? Do I want to go through that effort of setting all that up? Like, my laziness is getting to me now. It's like, well, I could set up evaporators to evaporate the 400 some odd per second tailings into tailings dust, and then convert the tailings dust into coal dust plus iron ore plus copper ore. And I can take the coal dust and I can make ash out of it and sort of like void it by turning it into ash and then turning the ash into coal dust. So, coal dust has this recipe to convert it into ash, and then ash has a ash separation, to give you a little bit of iron oxide. It's 100 ash back into coal dust that you can then convert back into ash. It's an interesting way of dealing with coal dust. That gives you a fractional amount of iron oxide. A tiny fractional amount of iron oxide. But it's a way of dealing with it. That's for sure. It's a way of dealing with coal dust outside of like the briquettes and stuff they can make out of it, or the syngas method of like non-existent amounts of syngas for the amount of coal dust that you have to throw at it, and you still end up with ash. So yeah, that's an option. Is to do this tailings dust recipe into the ores and the coal dust. Then it's like, well, what are you going to do with the ores? Well, I'm going to back up on the copper ore, clearly, because I'm not using all of my copper currently. So it's like, well, that's just going to end up backing up at some point. And then the iron, useful, but still can be a problem. Anyway, I now need to basically just copy this and paste it a couple more times. This is less than the full throughput of a single thingy, so you will exist here, I have decided. That will exist there, and then we will, of course, do something along these lines. Hello? Did I not? Oh, it's... duh. Off by a tile. Because these are offset. Slightly. They're offset by one tile just because of the way that the output pipe is oriented on the tailings. These are evenly sized. They are, what, 6 by 6? Yes, 6 by 6. So you can't... they're not symmetric on the input and output pipes. So, 45 per second. Yeah. And then they need outputs. So we need to bear in mind, in this layout, we need output plus we need input. And they are identical. 2.86 each. Alright, that's going to be... 1 and 2. Or 2 and 1. Just make sure to get the inserters correct, and we'll be good. That's gonna be a problem. Yeah, we're going to need to actually offset this by 1 more, at least. I guess it'll have to be 1 more. Yeah, there we go. That will work. Why do you need so much borax? Just because the base is using that much borax. The base just uses this much. It uses a lot, and therefore I want to make more than what I need. A lot more, because we are going to continue to be expanding. The expansion shall continue. And to continue the expansion, I need way more borax. Way more borax. Because this over, like, close to 30-ish isn't enough. So let's more than double it. I'm at that point in the game where I'm just, like, double it. That's my mindset now, is just, it's not enough? Double it! Surely if you double it, it'll be enough. Sodium hydroxide is like the thing that gets used the most, apparently, according to Immortal Sniper. That's like the one thing that gets used in incredibly high amounts, besides salt itself, as well as zinc. Those are like the primary complaints from Immortal Sniper, is just sodium hydroxide, sodium as the ingredient, salt, solid, and the zinc. Lots of zinc, lots of salt, lots of sodium hydroxide, lots of ammonia as well, but that's relatively simple to get. Lots of sulfuric acid gets used. Yeah. There's plenty of things that are just, like, insane amounts if you're trying to build at a certain scale. We're not building at that, even remotely that amount of scale, though. For reference, Immortal Sniper has been building a base that does 5 science per second of all sciences, but is using a more outdated version of the mod packs, as well as specific sets of other types of mods with that as well. So, we are just playing through the game at the moment, and trying to play with all of the updates as they happen. A few times we've had to delay, but otherwise we are running with all of the most recent changes. The biggest thing was the change from using lubricant for all ground boring to using the various different types of drilling fluids. Drilling fluid 1, 2, and 3. That was a pretty major change. I made a mod that I released, actually. You can actually download this mod now. It reverts that from drilling fluid 1, 2, and 3 back to lubricant for the various ore ground boring recipes. Because I was depending on doing the ground boring at the time for my primary chromium, as well as some others that I had set up at the time, I wanted to have the actual time to build and design the setups for drilling fluids and then enable the vanilla behavior after that. So I disabled my mod once I was able to make drilling fluid 1 and 2 for what I needed to have ground bored. And we did that. And it was awesome. And now we are running on drilling fluids, and I don't have anything reverted in this. Now, I do have a number of vanilla techs that would otherwise be utility science at Purple Science. That is a mod that I have made for myself, where I have converted utility science vanilla techs to production. I think the inserter capacity is one of them. Definitely this rocket control unit is one. Is it? No. I don't even remember at this point which of the vanilla recipes that applies to. Definitely the personal Roboport Mark II. So in vanilla of Factorio, in the vanilla game without the mods, this particular tech, personal Roboport Mark II, uses red, green, blue, and yellow, and does not use purple science. Production science is purple science. It doesn't use purple. So in vanilla, you can set up yellow before you set up purple, and you can set up purple before you set up yellow. You can do that. Purple is actually not as required. Yeah, this is usually yellow without purple. The issue is that in Pyanodon's mods, you must do purple science before yellow. You do not have the option of doing yellow with purple or even doing yellow before purple. You have to do purple first. So, in the case of worker robot speed, for example, you get stuck having worker robot speed 2 until yellow science. Until yellow science. So you can't get 3 or 4 until yellow. And you'll already have purple. You'll have purple and then yellow. So I modded it so that you can get these techs at purple rather than at yellow, and then you can advance once you get yellow to the remaining techs, if there are remaining techs after that. So that's just something I did for my own sanity, specifically for the primary purpose of the worker robot speed, but I took everything that was just yellow and made it purple rather than yellow. So, yep, that's what I did. And there are things like the personal Roboport Mark II. Ostensibly, this is purple science. This is production science recipe. LDS and circuit board 3s you can get at purple, and yet you'd have to wait until yellow to unlock the actual recipe itself. Like, huh? What? No sense was made on that day. Anyhoozle, let's do a little bit of this shenaniganry. And there we go. We're, like, we're done, by the way. That's that, as they say. That's that into here, just add power. As well as something to do with the stupid tailings. It was 400, right? So I could do all of that stuff that I said I could have done with the tailings, or I can do this. In the alternative, we can just do voiding. We can just void the tailings and not ever have to worry about them ever again. Or have anything back up or any of that good stuff. But they will always be here. Ideally, this will always run, and we'll always be able to count on having like 400 some odd units per second of the tailings. Now, 457 divided by 60, that's 8. Yeah, so, yeah, that's 8. Yes, 0.17 separated production and utility science, and that's where these issues arise, because Pyanodon's mods as a set has existed since well before 0.17, and it just hasn't been updated properly yet for that specific purpose. For those balancing purposes. There was updates to make it compatible, but not updates to fix the balance of it. And frankly speaking, what I have done in this is also not balanced per se, because it does give you the terminal text of some upgrades a little bit too early. Some things are made available just slightly too early. I think some of the terminal texts could use both packs, science packs. So there's the power for that, and and okay, if I can properly click. So yeah, this is exclusively to get actual borax. Like, this is not going into boric acid or diborane, or I guess it's backwards, into diborane or boric acid or anything like that. This is just to get borax. This is just to get the standard washed borax. That's all this is for. And as soon as we have the belts, it'll move. As soon as we have the belts placed in here, the blue belts placed in here to get all this moving for the syngas. Syngas and coal gas, technically, but the syngas is the primary thing that's needed here. It'll operate. It'll be operational. And I guess also here for the aromatics, because you need the aromatics for this stuff. If I wanted to have the copper ore as well coming in, but I've got a massive excess of copper ore right now, and I've got an excess of the guargum, so really all we need is just this to move, and that's going to just require the syngas. Now, I could potentially find a pipe of syngas that might or may not be nearby and somewhat full. You know, may or may not be somewhat full and nearby. So, yeah, let's sneak an overflow valve. And make it move. We shall make it move. Ever so slowly. Ever so slowly. I probably should have put pumps on the output sides of those tanks, but yeah. Hi. Ever so slowly, we are accruing. But then we also need the stuff here for it to actually work as well. Because reasons. Oh, did I not? No, I did. Oh, hi. Hey! It's working! It's working! Technically. Just add belt. And ideally, because this is closer to the source of the belt, this will be built faster? Maybe? I guess? Anyway, I will consider that done. So in these last 20 minutes... our next task is uranium processing. So we're going to start wrapping our heads around the concept of uranium processing. A la frickin' Luya. Where are we going to do this? Probably up here. So this is going to start off, I think, looking similar to what we've already seen for the most part. How are they doing out here, by the way? Still non-existent. Sure. By the way, am I even, like... Oh, of course not. Right. I need one there. I need one there. There we go. Because of course I was missing a RoboPort for them to actually continue building. Of course I was. Alright. Moving right along. It's time for the uranium chain. Oh boy. Oh boy. So, the thing about the heavy fermion material needing the 70% uranium is that to make the 70% uranium, you use a lot of ore for it. Like, a lot of ore goes into that 70% uranium. And, that effectively means that you're, like, throwing a ton of ore into each individual unit of that heavy fermion material. It's rather insane. So, even if you don't need a lot of the powder here to make it, you're going to need a lot of them. It's, oh god, it's 10 powder per fermion. Wow. That is a lot. And you get 1 per 100 of the pulp. So let's start taking notes. It's evaporators. So I'm going to have a tab open here on my notepad++. Evaps for 70% powder. It is thickeners for 70% fluid plus 43% fluid from 65 and 35. Oh boy. This is going to be a lot of numbers. This is numbers. Welcome to Let's Play Numbers. 65. Hydrocyclone for 65 from 50. Oh boy. Alright. hydrocyclone for 50 and 45 from enriched pulp. Alright, so that tells me that this probably comes a lot sooner than this. Hydro classifiers for 50 and 40 from 45. So, alright, now I know that we do hydrocyclone from enriched pulp into 50 and 45, and then the 45 into more 50. The thing about the diagrams is that they are oftentimes outdated. So while it would show the most likely what the current process is, it probably has outdated buildings, most likely. Definitely potentially outdated numbers as well. But yes, there should be like a flow chart. I don't really need the flow chart as much as I do the actual buildings that I need for this. I can get the flow in my head. I can go through each of these steps fine myself. Let's see. 40 processes into 30 and 35. Hydro classifiers for 35. Okay, there's that 35 and 30 from 40. So there's that 35 again from that thickener step at the end. Do 30 into 20 and 25 in, again, hydro classifiers for 20 and 25 from 30. Did we see the 20 or 25 yet? We haven't seen either of these yet. Oh boy. So 20 into 15? Hydroclassy 15 from 20. And then... Oh. And 15 from 23, just to make note of that. In a thickener. Let's see. 23 is 30, or is 25 and 23 from 33 and 15. You love it because it's not just ore in and uranium out. Yeah, this is a lot of numbers. This is a lot of numbers. Alright, so that was 23. If we look at 25 again, that was the 20 route. Yeah, that was the 20 route from 30. Which ultimate belt mod do you have? The one that's literally called Ultimate Belts. It is Ultimate Belts. 0.17.1. That is the version that I have. 30%. This stuff. No, this stuff. Yeah, 25. 25 from those. So that's the one that I did here. yeah, 20 and 25. I did the root of the 25, the 20. No, I did this root. That's the root that I did. I need to do this root. So 33. So 25 thickener for 45 and 33 from 43 and 25. From 43 and 25. Am I getting lost now? I think I'm getting lost. I'm starting to get lost. All right, 45 and 33 from 43 and 25. So 25, 33, yeah, 33, 45 from 43 and 25. We've seen a 45s already, but we haven't seen 43s yet. So 43 is a product of 70. Okay, so 70 and so thickener. Lots of thickeners, lots of hydroclassifiers, a few hydrocyclones. Thickener for 70 plus 43. I take it that's the chart. Yeah, that would be the chart of the various stages. We would, of course, be going all the way up to 70 powder. Yeah. And that can go all the way up to the yellow cake. Yeah, and yeah, you need to be I need to like mark folks as regular to use links. Links are not generally speaking allowed, especially not the direct links to the Imgur stuff. But yeah, I've seen this before, so it's looking like it's actually the correct buildings. Alright, so we can go with this. So all of this is like stage 3 that we're working from the U-rich pulp. So it basically, if we go through this, we've got from uranium-rich pulp. From the uranium-rich pulp, it goes into 50% and 45%. Following the root of the 45%, the 45 becomes 50 and 40. The 40 goes into 30 and 35. The 30 goes into 20 and 25. The 20 goes into 15. The 15 and the 25 and the 35 will be like breaking down further other processes. So from all the way up back at the U50, the U50 goes into 65, goes into 70 and 43, and it breaks down from the 43 to 33 by adding 25. 43 plus 25 to 33. 15 plus 33 gives you 23 and 25. That loops back into the 43 and 25 to give 33. But, like, in the end, you end up with tailings. You end up with tailings. After 23 to 15. And looping that. Like, that doesn't go higher from there. So if we go 23, 15, 15, making... Oh, I see what I'm missing here. The reason to do this. The 43% plus 25% doesn't just give 33, it gives 33 and 45, which can lead up back into 50. So there is good reason to do these loops because you can end up getting some of it looping up back into 50, into 65, into 70. So you have to do all of this. There's, let's see here, there's 2 hydrocyclones, 1, 2, 3, 4 hydroclassifier steps, and 4 thickener steps. Which I've actually written all of this down. Hey, I actually had it all written. I actually had all of those steps all written out. 4 hydroclassifiers, 4 thickeners, 2 hydrocyclones. Alright, so now we need to look at what comes prior to this, which is the previous stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab this and I'm going to go into display capture briefly. So this is the diagram that we're looking at right here. I'm sort of blocking part of it here, but you can see here, this is this pane right here, this stage 3, third stage is what I was just looking at. So hydrocyclone into 45, 45 into 40, into 35 and 30, into 20 and 25, into 15, into 23 and 25 with 33. You can start working your way back up into, 33 and 45 from 25 into 50, into 65, into 70 and 43, which can loop back to 45. So you can do 43 by adding 25, get 45 out of that to get more 50, to get ultimately more 70. So you can loop this until you've refined to 70%. And then evaporate to your U powder. Now that that's taken care of, so we've got 2 hydrocyclones, there's 4 hydroclassifiers, and 4 thickeners here. Now it's evaporator, agitators, screener, crusher, crushers. So these are jaw crushers, secondary screeners, automated screeners, agitators, and evaporator. So we've got all of that to do. All of that is to do. And it's not iron ore in, it's uranium ore in, but yeah, it's UN to G1, G2 into powdered. This gives apparently G2 out as well, G2 and 20% powder, I think. Let's have a look at uranium ore. Ore goes into grade 1 plus a little grade 2. Okay, so that, yep, 1 into that. The 1 goes into 2. 1 to 1 there. The 2 goes into powdered with sand, so that is just a flat out thing. So yeah, that goes into powdered and sand. The powdered goes into 20% and sand. So there is no feedback of G2 here. So that's just a error. This no longer exists, this line here on grade 2. This portion of the line does not exist anymore, if it ever did. And then from the 20% powder agitator to do pulp 1, leaching station now. Hello, it's now a leaching station for Pulp 1, so no longer agitator, it is leaching station. And then Pulp 1 into Pulp 2 in an agitator, Pulp 2 into 3 in a leaching station. Pulp 3 into enriched pulp in an agitator. And then we go into either 40% powder, which, what is the 40% powder for? Just fuel rod 3s if you ever want fuel rod 3s. I don't really think there's any need to go do any of that for those fuel rods. So skipping that, going into the 50% uranium, well, there's your first hydrocyclone step of this process here. So that is that. Now, I'm not going to look at the further processing of the U70 into the yellow cake, because I don't even think that's needed. At least not for anything that we're doing. You need it for the Mark V fuel rods. Like, if I wanted nuclear fuel, I would have to do that, but you don't need nuclear fuel for anything, and you definitely don't need the Mark V fuel cells. So there really is no reason to go all the way up to the yellow cake. Not like we even can, because that's uranium processing 4, which is yellow science anyway. Yeah, so there really isn't any real reason to go up to stage 4 on uranium. And with that, we have reached the end of the stream for today, folks. That's it. That's all. We have reached the end. Oh boy. We reached the end just discussing the uranium processing chain. This will eventually be a tutorial, just as an FYI, probably at the time that you need it to start making heavy fermion material, which is why we're going to be going through this chain. Yes, 30 FPS. Yeah, it's we have a bit of a base. We've got a base. There's a reason the FPS is not as good. It's like, well, we have a base. So yeah, we've reached the end of today's stream, folks. With that, I would like to thank you all for watching. This has been Otaku Showboat. We got a few things done today. We've expanded out over here. And we've started working on getting additional borax. Like, that's the big thing that we've started working on today, is working on the borax. As for the things we've done, more power, a pipe of hydrogen peroxide, and then worked on more borax. That's the things that we've done today. Yes, the 30 UPS should be the oof. If you're watching the VOD on YouTube, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. As well as head on over to twitch.tv/OtakuShowboat to leave a follow to be notified when I go live Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to approximately 1 p.m. US Eastern Time. You can follow me on Twitter at OtakuShowboat, visit my website at otakushowboat.com, become a Patreon on Patreon at patreon.com/OtakuShowboat, and as well as join my growing Discord server through the link in the description below. If you're watching live on Twitch, you can do !Discord for the link to that. You can also help support Pyanodon's Monster development at patreon.com/Pyanodon. And as a reminder, later today, the tutorial/overview video for Pyanodon's mods is going to be what to do once you get up to Blue Science. And starting next week, on Sunday, I will not be streaming Pyanodon's mods, but I will be streaming Pokemon Sword or Shield. If you would like to leave a vote as to which version to play, as well as which starter to use, you can do so on my Discord server. With that, it will officially be a little while before we meet again. If things stay as they are, expect that since Thursday's stream is Morrowind and Sunday's stream is most likely going to be Pokemon, we're probably not going to meet again for a little while. So I will, of course, be back with more of the Pyanodon's playthrough once the playthrough of Pokemon Sword or Shield is finished, and I hope to see you all definitely going forward into the Morrowind stream on Thursday and into the Pokemon streams next week. Otherwise, if you're just here for Factorio, I will see you all after after Sword and Shield / or Shield are finished. So, hope to see you all going forward.